She got the job everyone dreams of, the email, the title, and the victory after years of struggle. For one night, she believed the world was finally fair. But the next morning, everything changed. She had worked her whole life for this moment. Late nights, unpaid internships, countless rejections. And finally, the email arrived. Congratulations, you've been selected. For a second, the world felt fair. Her mother cried. Her friends cheered. It was everything she'd prayed for. But just 24 hours later, another email came, shorter, colder, and without explanation. The offer was no longer available. Same qualifications, same resume. Only one thing had changed. They'd seen her picture. What happens when your face becomes the reason your dreams vanish? Amara had always believed that hard work could change everything. She was the kind of person who stayed late after everyone left. Not because anyone asked her to, but because she wanted to prove herself. The daughter of a single mother who worked 2 jobs, Amara grew up believing that education was the only way out. Every exam, every internship, every late-night project. It all led to this moment. When she finally graduated, her resume told a story of excellence. Top grades, leadership awards, and glowing recommendations. But beneath every achievement was something else. An unspoken pressure to be twice as good just to be seen as equal. Weeks turned into months of sending out applications, facing rejection after rejection. Then one day, an email arrived from a company she'd dreamed about for years, a position she'd imagined since college. The interviews went perfectly. They loved her ideas, her professionalism, and her confidence. "You're exactly what we've been looking for," they said. For the first time in a long time, Amara let herself believe she'd finally made it. She imagined her first day, decorating her new desk, and calling her mom with the good news. Everything felt right, but just beneath that joy, something quiet stirred. A hesitation she couldn't explain. A tiny voice whispering, "Don't celebrate yet." Because in a world where your picture can speak louder than your resume, not every victory lasts long. The morning after her acceptance email, Amara woke up earlier than usual. She'd barely slept. Excitement had replaced exhaustion. Her mother made breakfast, humming a song Amara hadn't heard since childhood. "You did." Later that day, HR requested a profile photo for the company directory and ID badge. It seemed routine, harmless, just another formality before orientation. Amara took a fresh picture near the window, her natural curls framed by sunlight, her smile genuine and full of hope. She attached it to the email and hit send. That's when everything began to change. Hours passed, then a day, then 2. The company that had once replied to her every message within minutes suddenly fell silent. The onboarding documents stopped coming. Her calls went unanswered. The excitement that once filled her home was replaced by a growing sense of unease. By the 3rd day, Amara received a short, carefully worded message. "We regret to inform you that due to internal restructuring, we are unable to proceed with your employment at this time." Her hands trembled as she read the words again. Internal restructuring? Less than a week after they hired her? Something didn't make sense. At first, she tried to convince herself it was bad luck. Maybe they really did cut positions. Maybe it wasn't personal. But deep down, she knew better. She'd seen that tone before, in interviews where the smiles faded when she walked into the room, in conversations that ended just a little too quickly. She opened the company's careers page that same night. Her heart sank. The same position she had been hired for was still listed, now accepting applications. The next morning, she used her friend's email to apply again. Same resume, same cover letter, same qualifications. Only this time, she didn't attach a photo. Within hours, she got a response. "We'd love to schedule an interview." It wasn't bad luck. It was something uglier. Amara stared at her reflection on the screen. The same face that had smiled so confidently in that picture just days ago. The face that told her story, her heritage, and her truth. And now it had become a reason for rejection. Her mother tried to console her, but the silence in the house grew heavier each day. Every "maybe it's a mistake" felt emptier. Amara stopped checking her email altogether. Still, one question haunted her. If they couldn't see past her skin in a picture, what chance did she have in the real world? And yet, part of her wasn't ready to let it go. Not yet, because sometimes the only way to expose injustice is to walk straight into it. Days turned into weeks, but Amara couldn't move on. Every time she tried to forget, something reminded her. The email in her drafts, the printed offer letter still on her desk, the look of pride on her mother's face that morning. None of it felt real anymore. One night, she made a decision. She created a second identity, a new email, a slightly altered name. She used the same resume, same credentials, same achievements, everything identical except for one thing. She used a stock photo of a white woman for the profile. She sent the application to the same company that had rejected her and waited. Less than 24 hours later, her phone buzzed. "We're impressed by your background. Can we schedule a call tomorrow?" Her chest tightened. It wasn't a surprise. It was confirmation. In that moment, the truth became impossible to ignore. It was never about her skills. It was about her skin. The next day, she joined the video call. The recruiter smiled warmly through the screen, unaware that the woman they were speaking to was the same one they had turned away. Amara kept her camera off, her voice steady. When the recruiter began praising her professionalism, Amara took a breath. "It's interesting," she said slowly, "how my application was rejected when my photo showed a black woman. But now, suddenly, I'm the perfect fit." The recruiter's smile froze. Silence filled the screen. A long, heavy pause, the kind that tells you everything without a single word being said. Then came the excuse, "There must be some confusion." But Amara didn't let her finish. "No," she said firmly, her voice breaking but strong. "The confusion isn't mine." She ended the call. For the first time, she wasn't crying because of rejection. She was crying because she finally had proof. Proof that sometimes the system doesn't fail you by accident. It's built that way. In the days that followed, Amara didn't reach out to the company again. She didn't need to. The silence on their end had already spoken louder than any apology ever could. But what she did next wasn't out of anger, it was out of purpose. She took her story public. Not for revenge, but for visibility. On social media, she wrote every detail, the offer, the rejection, and the second application. Within hours, her post began to spread. People from all over the country responded with stories that sounded painfully similar. Different names, different faces, same system. And that's when Amara realized something powerful. She was never alone. The discrimination that had stolen her opportunity was the same one that had silenced countless others before her. The company eventually issued a statement, full of polished words and commitments to diversity. But it didn't erase what had happened. Because for Amara, the real victory wasn't an apology. It was awareness. It was the hundreds of young women who messaged her saying, "Thank you. Now I understand it wasn't my fault." She didn't get that dream job back. But in a way, she found something far greater, her voice. And she used it to make others seen. Because racism doesn't always wear a hood or shout in the streets. Sometimes it hides behind a computer screen, inside hiring software, or in the quiet decision of who looks right for the job. Amara's story isn't just about one woman losing a job offer. It's about how easily bias can turn achievement into rejection, and how courage can turn pain into power. So the next time you see a story like hers, ask yourself, are we judging people by their potential or by their picture?